Hey.
Huh?
Hey.
Hey.
We just saw a movie.
That is not false.
Exactly.
Exactly not false.
Exactly not false. This is Michelle. I'm Michelle.
I am Yeshua.
Okay, and we just watched a movie.
That's right.
What did we watch?
We watched
Sing it.
the 1989 Christian Slater movie. You sing it.
Gleaming the Cube.
That's right. I forgot the guy who did the music. It was very 80s.
Yeah, it was very, that's the best way to say it. It was very 80s.
When you think 80s, the music did it.
Yep. I couldn't believe they they must have written this song for the title sequence.
Yeah, I don't think I haven't heard Gleaming the Cube ever used since this movie. So
No.
I
forgot to write down the rest of the lyrics. I guess I could look them up. But they were top notch.
They were
top notch. I can't believe this wasn't a summer banger.
They were lyrics that come when someone says, "Hey, can you write an intro song?"
Right.
And then you come with intro songs that go, "No, can you say the name of the movie?" And then you go, "What?" They go, "Yeah, just say the name of the movie." And then, by the way, it's due tomorrow.
That's the key. That's probably what it was.
Yeah,
it's due tomorrow.
Literally how it probably went down. Yeah. So, what have you been up to?
Hanging out.
Hanging out.
Riding Onewheel.
Onewheel, huh? You fancy now? You ride one wheels?
Yeah, I feel like that's why we picked this movie, because we're in the skate culture now.
Yeah, that's totally us, man. Totally sick, gnarly, ollies, all that stuff.
All that stuff. Me going so slow down the hill. It's a stylistic choice.
2 miles an hour is what the kids love.
That's what they do. I do wonder. I was thinking about this. If skateboarders have any thoughts on one-wheelers. If they're like,
yeah,
oh man, they're not real skaters, whatever. And then one-wheelers are like, float life forever, man. And then I don't know what else. Like, I don't know. Maybe skateboarders don't even care.
I try to use that hashtag only on as a hashtag and never verbally.
Right.
It just sounds no hate to the other float bros out there.
Right. There's a whole thing. There's a whole channel, Float Life. Y'all can look it up.
Yeah.
It's fun videos to watch. I mean, except for, are these the guys that don't wear helmets?
Those are the guys
they
that
really
don't wear helmets.
should.
And some of the dudes were like, "This isn't water in my drink," and I'm like, "Ugh, drinking alcohol and going 15 miles per hour on a computer aided tire is not really
float
the greatest.
safely. Float safely. That's the new hashtag. Float safely.
That should be on when people go tubing.
Okay, so if you don't know, I think we yammered a little bit last time about the Onewheel, but just briefly. And then, so we got these Onewheels, and they are exactly what they sound like. It's a skateboard with one wheel in the middle, basically.
Yes.
And it's motorized, and it's magic. And you can look it up and watch lots of Onewheel videos on YouTube.
That's right.
But they're fun. So we got those, and their whole campaign they've had during this pandemic is
pandemic. Pentameter.
Yeah, is destroy boredom. So it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So we went road today. It was fun. We had a nice long 4.45 whatever mile ride around Kenneth Hahn Park. It's
what
good
up,
times.
Kenneth?
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Thanks for the park, Mr. Kenneth.
Yeah, hopefully there's not like a sad story and I'm offending people.
Mm.
That's all I'm afraid of these days. It's like, as I joke about stuff, people are like, "Don't you know the history?" And I'm like, I was just trying to pass the time with a joke. I'm a very sad person who wants to go outside all the time and can't.
Yeah. What have you been up to?
Yeah, pretty much that. We went. I think the most fun was Beverly Hills. We went through. We were playing the Weezer song. Well, no, we were riding through Beverly Hills on one wheels, and it's cool because obviously Beverly Hills doesn't have potholes.
They have very nice wide streets.
Right. If you ever been to Beverly Hills or any rich part of the city you live in, they do not have potholes. And if it was built, long enough ago, they do have wide streets as well. So I was able to carve, as they say,
Ooh.
through the streets going up to 17 miles an hour. And if I fell, probably nobody would come around to run me over after I did. So that was the best part about it. I could do a lot of stuff that I would not do on the streets of Hollywood ever in my life. And then I got a job. I got offered a job, and I was like, all right, this is you guys are cool, and the stuff that you're doing is cool, and I need money. And so yeah, I took a full-time job. I haven't had one in 8 years. So the first week was really cool. I got to meet with a lot of people through the old actually Slack. I didn't know Slack had video. If you don't know what Slack is, it's I don't even know what it is myself, but we do it for work. And
I've only ever heard you talk about Slack. I have no idea what this is.
Is
it like an intranet messaging kind of a thing?
Yeah, but it's like the Slack provides the service. So it's like WhatsApp, Zoom,
Google Hangouts.
Google Hangouts. More so like Slack, Zoom, Reddit. And if you mash those together, that's kind of what it is. So yeah, everybody's cool. I got to talk to David, the CEO or owner. So I don't know all the story. Because it's Cycling 74, if anybody knows who's listening, the 17 people. But yeah, they're owned by Ableton, so I don't know how that works. But David was really cool. We talked about basketball and a bunch of other stuff and horticulture. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, mainly gardening, but I think that falls under horticulture.
Horticulture makes it sound fancy.
Yeah, we talked about horticulture and dressage. No, we did not talk about dressage.
Isn't that horses?
Yeah,
like
that's the
horses?
horse dance.
Where they prance.
Yeah.
And they dance.
I'd go to a dressage match or whatever they're called.
A match?
I don't know what they're called. I'm just saying.
I think it's just a performance thing, and it's one of those things I'm conflicted about. Like, it's pretty, but also horses don't do that on their own. So someone had to make them do this.
I was watching a movie last night, and this lady said, "Oh no, it wasn't a movie. It was Last OG." She goes, "I don't trust horses." She's like, any 6, 7 foot thing that would let you drill holes into its feet and is okay with it, or will let you ride on top of it is either stupid or has a plan that we don't know about. I was like, I just nodded in my head, or not in my head. And I was like sitting there. It's like 2 a.m. I was like, she's got a point there. Yeah. Maybe they're working on something.
Yeah. Well, I was very nervous about those horses we rode in Costa Rica.
You're like, he's trying to drown me in the river. I'm like, steer him. She's like, I feel bad. I don't want to hurt him. I'm like, well, you either like go off a cliff. I was
very scared. I just let him do what he wanted to do, and I was really afraid he was going to kill me.
That's how people end up killed. They're just like, okay, horse, wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
And he's like, get off my back, and he just throws you down a ravine.
I think, yeah. I mean, could have. He did. He went off the little. He wasn't following all you guys. He was kind of doing his own thing. But anyway,
I think of it this way: it's either me or the horse.
I guess. But anyway, back to dressage. What's the jam there? Like they can't. Maybe they like it. I don't know, but that's not a thing a horse does on its own. It's kind of like zoos. Like I like to see animals, but also I feel sad for them. So, dancing horses is probably really pretty, but also makes me sad.
Yeah. But there's a ton of things like that.
Yeah, a ton of things. Actually.
Even human beings.
Yeah.
We all have to do these things for money.
Yeah.
So but speaking about the thing I do for money. So yeah, it's been great.
Back to your job.
It's been great. Like, I couldn't ask for anything more in coming back to a full-time job in 8 years.
What is interesting that we've discovered, well, I don't know if this is like a thing we discovered, but
mushrooms?
I mean, we've both worked from home for this whole time. We've been out here like 8 years. We've both been working from home, but mine's been full-time and yours is like contract stuff. And so you're not always working every day, all day.
You're saying I'm a bum.
So no, I'm saying it's interesting this week because you had so many meetings. Like he's on one side of the room and I'm on the other. We have our little workspaces,
Spy versus spy.
Right. But you're still going to hear, like, you've had to listen to my meetings, and then I heard.
Actually, I haven't really heard your meetings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you usually just put your headphones on, or you're not out here when I do this.
I'm just focused, Michelle.
Okay.
I'm just in the zone.
You're in the zone.
Auto zone.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's interesting. That's all I'm saying is how we're going to navigate all these meetings.
Yeah.
That's all.
Meetings. Yeah. So that's been it. Onewheel work. Learning more Mac stuff.
Yeah.
Such is life.
Such is life. Wearing our masks.
Wearing our masks.
Even while we Onewheel, we wear our mask.
Even when. I'm sick of this mask crap.
Me too.
Just wear your mask, people, so we can get
Can we
through
just get this to be
or
done?
something, or at least minimize, like lower the numbers and quit having pool parties and dance parties and breathing parties.
Yeah.
Like, hey, who wants to do Lamaze even though we're not pregnant? Let's all 100 people get in a room and just breathe really heavily and cough.
Okay. So
that's what we've been up to.
Yeah.
What have we been watching? What we've been watching.
There you go. What have we been watching? We watched, we're not doing an episode on it, but we watched the movie on Netflix. What's that? What is the whole title of this movie? It is Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga.
Yeah, that long name.
Yeah. This is a fun movie.
That was one of the best Will Ferrell movies in a while.
Yeah. Okay. In case you guys don't know what this is, go to Netflix, type in Eurovision. It's probably on one of the opening pages and you won't have to search very far.
Not unless this is 10 years from now.
Yeah. So where are they? They're in Sweden? I think
Iceland?
they're in Sweden.
Yeah, I think they're in Sweden.
So they're in Sweden and they want to be a part of the year. It's been his lifelong dream. Will Ferrell, his character wants
and
to,
maybe Will Ferrell's. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? He could. Yeah. They want to compete in Eurovision. That's their dream.
It's a dream, and obviously Will Ferrell's silliness.
Yeah.
Rachel McAdams finally gets to be silly.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
I thought she did really well in this. What is like an oddball movie?
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a fun watch.
We've been watching The Handmaid's Tale. We're in season 2.
Finally, we started Handmaid's Tale like
a year
ages
and a half
ago.
It's kind of like that movie where that chick plays 8 characters, 8 versions of herself on BBC and Amazon.
Oh yeah,
and we watched like a season.
So like Orphan Black.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
Okay.
We didn't finish that either, so we have to go through that. But yeah,
our Hulu is just like a yard of. It's like a forgotten dreams.
It is.
It's full of so many unfinished shows. Shows we like too. We just for whatever reason.
Yeah,
paused.
It's kind of like a bunch of layaways that people forgot about. That's our Hulu.
Yeah.
And then what else have we been watching?
We watched The Great.
Yeah, we finished all of The Great.
Yeah.
So it was funny. The Great and Handmaid's Tale are kind of like two different sides of the same coin. So it's kind of interesting. One's funnier.
Yes.
The Great also reminds me a lot of The Favorite. In a lot of ways.
Yes. I feel like there's a reason for that. Was it the same?
Probably the same director.
Maybe.
Or something.
I can't remember.
Or a copycat.
Yeah. But when the articles I read, it referenced The Favorite.
Oh, okay.
I just can't remember what the article said exactly. But Elle Fanning was great. Elfening was great. And the guy who played Peter, the Emperor, was great.
Everybody's great.
Everybody's great. It was a really good cast.
Mm-hmm.
Watch it. I think that's on Hulu too.
We also
the other thing we said was...
We also heard months worth of fireworks.
Yeah.
And on July 4th, probably maybe in like your city, tons of fireworks. Our air quality shot up to 380 or something the next
terrible.
day. So
they said it was the worst air quality in like decades.
Probably since like 1971. It was definitely like Revolutionary War or Gettysburg or something.
Yeah. we still hear a few, but I'm happy they've lessened. Though it did sound like our direct neighbor shot off a giant firework.
Right. In our ears.
It's
like, hey, do you like 50-foot high streamers and whatever? Here's one right in your ear.
Right. Like 2 nights ago. So
Here's
I guess
firecracker in your ear.
people, I guess, didn't get rid of all of them on that night. I wish they would have. Just do it. It's just get over with.
Yeah.
It was a really long lead up to the July 4th. Like you had months.
Months of fireworks.
Right. You missed your chance. Save it for next year.
We should just skip fireworks next year.
Yeah, we did them all. That's it.
That's right. So the movie.
We're getting to it.
Get into it.
Get into it.
Get into it. The movie.
Gleaming the Cube.
Brr.
Boom.
Troop. So yeah, this movie. I'll start with some background.
What, you don't want me to give you the IMDb?
Oh, I was gonna give you some gleaming me cube.
Okay. Why we picked this movie?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
good,
yeah.
What this movie?
All right.
Josh,
all right. Oh.
What does this movie mean to you?
What does it mean to me? It's my life. It's now or never. I'm gonna live forever. So I watched this movie. I don't know when it came out in '89. I thought it came out more like '86 because the cars were really old. But yeah, this movie came out. I always wanted to be a skateboarder. I could not skateboard at all. I hurt myself trying to skateboard. You know, when you put one knee on the board and then use the other leg to kind of like frog leg drag yourself around. Yeah, you put one knee on the board.
Oh, kind of like
then you
the frog swimming? Like,
yeah, you use the other leg to kind of push yourself
like
forward.
Babies when they don't walk yet, but they're tired of crawling and they do that.
Like Olivia.
Yeah.
So shout out to Michael and Emily. I always want to be a skater. So I always want to be all those things. I want to be BMX. I want to be skater. So we'll review Rad at some point. But this movie was so cool because it had skateboarders and they were in California and they did tricks and they were riding on the street and they were sketching. And I was like, what? They're sketching, bruh.
Were you jealous of the earring?
I thought the earring was cool because the thing is everybody wanted an earring. And definitely my mom was not letting me get an earring. I think I was 8. So... And then my brother wanted an earring. I can't remember if my brother wanted an earring then or not. He was 5 years old. Well, he still is 5 years older than me. But he got an earring at some point first. But I remember he got a pager when we lived in New York. So he maybe had a pager that year.
What?
In 89 or 90. But I just thought Christian Slater was the coolest and all those other kids were the coolest before I even knew who Tony Hawk was. And it showed up on our Amazon, and I said, "We gotta watch this, so I can remember."
So you relive your 8-year-old.
That's right.
When's the last time you watched this movie? When you were 8?
I probably watched it like in the early '90s again.
Okay.
But yeah, I haven't watched it. All I remembered was the ending.
So you haven't seen this since you were like a tween.
Yeah, I remember the ending. I remember the girl, and I remember as it started moving. I remembered like the key moment, but other than that, I couldn't remember. I just knew there was skateboarding.
Okay,
so that's my relationship
to that's how this came about.
GTC.
That's how Gleaming the Cube made it into the hey, we just saw movie rotation.
That's right. Slow motion for me.
Okay, all right. Can I read my thing now?
Yeah, read your thing.
Okay. IMDb.
You are?
Says.
Say it.
A young, avid skateboarder uncovers a government conspiracy while investigating his adoptive brother's mysterious
Adoptive?
Death. Adoptive brother's mysterious...
Not adopted?
Mm-hmm. That's what it says. Adoptive.
Is that what he's constantly adopted? Is that adoptive? That seems like an action.
Adoptive.
Like adoptive. Like that sounds like you're constantly. You're like adoptive. Like adaptive. Like you're always adapting the things. So adoptive means like you're always being adopted or something.
No, it says adoptive as a result of the adoption of another's child.
Okay.
Maybe adopted is more like the one-time thing.
Yeah, but that is a one-time thing. You get adopted. It's just like purchasing. You're not a purchasive. You've been purchased. I'm not saying this kid was purchased.
This is what are we?
We just got really weird. White people buying Vietnamese kids.
Yeah, right. So maybe not. Anyway, that's
Adopted
what IMDb says.
is what I say.
This is what IMDb says. Adoptive brothers' mysterious death.
Mysterioso.
Was it a government conspiracy that they uncovered? Did I just miss that completely?
They said it was a government conspiracy?
That's what this says. He uncovers a government conspiracy. I thought it was just...
So the conspiracy, I don't know if the white guy represented the government, but definitely the Vietnamese guy represented a government.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we'll get into that.
Yeah.
After this. MeUndies. No. We have no sponsors.
We have no sponsors.
We have 4 listeners, no sponsors.
No, we have plenty of listeners. Stop hating. I don't know.
I just know I talked to a couple of people that I do know that were like, I haven't listened in a while. I need to catch up. And I'm like, oh.
That means they listened.
They did
at some point.
But I will say, what was it? Whatchamacallit is doing really well.
Beastie Boys?
Well, you said one of them beat that.
I thought it was Beastie Boys.
I thought Beastie Boys got beat by somebody.
What's the movie Parasite?
No, it was Parasite, then Beastie Boys, but I thought that was a third one that went above that.
I don't know.
I was up above it.
I'll have to look. You can have your little
I was up above it.
sing-song interlude.
Yeah. 9 Inch Nails, baby.
Yeah.
That is not a 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah. I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm looking.
Hurry up. People are waiting.
I'm looking.
I hope
it's Beastie Boys. No, I was saying Beastie Boys overtook Parasite because Parasite was at the top for so long.
We love you that you're listening. I don't want to offend you.
Don't start listening from the beginning and give up because we got a little bit more together now. I was thinking about this today. Our first episodes, they were fun, but not as like a little bit more streamlined.
You were listening to the old episodes?
No, I was just thinking about them.
Are we like, as that lady was saying, Greg Daniels, the first season is like...
Maybe, we could be.
Like horrible, but then they become lovable
we just discovered.
Together.
I know we already talked about what we've been watching, but I didn't know that people hated Space Force. I just discovered that today. The show on Netflix. I loved it. It took a minute to get into, but as does everything.
I wouldn't say I loved it. Love is a really strong word for me.
Okay, that is a strong
as you
word.
know.
He hasn't said it in years.
I never said it. Never say it.
Yeah. Kidding. That's a
TV
good show. Is that coming back?
Nothing's coming back.
All right, let's get into the movie.
Yeah, well, you sidetracked us.
Sorry.
Or I did. I don't know what happened.
No, it was me.
But we love you, listeners.
Yeah.
So it already it didn't bury the lead in the thing, but yeah, this dude, he has his brother is adopted or adoptive, Vietnamese. It's funny because I sort of forgot he had an adopted brother. I remembered the girl, but I didn't remember the brother, and so.
Well, yeah, that's how you set it up for me. It was that it was skateboarding and that he falls in love with his girl.
Yeah, I thought he fell in love with her. I don't know. It's just every other movie they fall in love with the girl. They touch hands.
That's it.
Like E.T. style.
But she keeps calling him her American friend.
You American friend. I can't remember which American.
You gotta sing the Gleaming the Cube song.
No.
Have you sing any more songs?
Oh, I was thinking of Tom Petty, American Girl. So yeah, I forgot about the brother entirely because he's gone after the first 15.
But he was the whole catalyst of the whole movie.
Right. So yeah, I just remembered that somebody.
But I guess you were 8 when you.
Yeah, but all I remember was that there was
skateboarding.
somebody had died and he was trying to find out what happened to him. That's all I remember. I didn't remember who. So when it started, I was like, "Oh yeah, that dude." Yes. I think I remember somebody talking about Asian representation in movies, and I think they were hating on Gleaming the Cube. But so I think I came in thinking, at least from my point of view, that it was going to be like way worse. Where it was like gong. Well, there was kind of like sounds, but I don't know.
Yeah. So every time a Vietnamese character showed up, there was like this mystical sound or like mystical music played as they entered the scene. So that was a little bit.
I will say, yeah, it wasn't like stereotypical sounds. I don't know too much about Vietnamese culture and like what kind of instruments. Like if you were to do a show where like I don't know, an American showed up and it went meow, you know, it would be like, okay, well at least that's American. I don't know. But so I don't know about that part, but once I remember the brother, I was like, oh no, is there going to be like a bunch of like stereotypes and slurs and all this stuff? And I was like, oh, okay. It kind of holds up to me, at least, decently in 2020.
Yeah.
And I wasn't just like face palming throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And all of the people there were
it
just
holds
like,
up better than Friends.
But yeah, everybody that knew him was just kind of like, hey man, what's up? You know, it wasn't like, hey, you know, whatever.
Right.
80s movies. So I thought that was cool, but it was interesting. I thought the beginning of the movie, they set up everything pretty well. Like they showed that his brother was smart and was the one that the parents loved because he was smart, but he was also like not malleable, but he just kind of
was a good kid.
Chill.
He would listen. Like, he loved his parents.
He just kind of like chilled.
Christian Slater was a little punk.
And Christian Slater's over here with his spiky hair and his cross, and he probably doesn't even go to church on Sunday. And he's skateboarding and hanging out with a bunch of thugs.
Won't play frisbee in the yard.
Yeah, he doesn't
on somebody's
ever want to
birthday.
have fun.
Apparently, it was somebody's birthday, and he was like, I don't want to play.
And so you could tell that the brother is really smart and stuff, but he's also kind of stressed a little bit. And so, that I think that just comes with being like the smart kid. You end up kind of on Adderall or something.
I like how they gave us a little glimpse of the brotherhood, like with the chess game,
right?
That they have like just always set up in the room, and they would play whenever. So I thought that was a nice little like. These aren't really like they're brothers that don't really have a whole lot in common, but they do love each other.
Right.
That's what I got.
And they were kind of adversaries, but it seemed like they were like 75% of the way to being fully connected, because they had talked about how, he's like, is this still about me being adopted? And he's like, dude, that was like 9 years ago. So he had kind of worked through.
Oh, that's right. So I guess Christian
thought.
Slater's character, when he first showed up, I guess he wasn't happy about having an adopted brother.
And then him being smart and him being nice and caring and all those things.
Right.
So, I think they set that up really well. And, he still snuck out with his girlfriend. So he was still a little risky kid, but, other than that, really smart. And I think it was just funny how they rolled it out. Like the brother's issue was he was kind of just too smart for his own good, because he worked at, where was it? Was it a video store? It looked like there were tapes on the...
I don't know what it was. Because it looked like a video store / what was the organization called? Like Vietnamese Anti-Communist Relief Fund.
Relief Fund, yeah.
So that was there too. And so anyway, I guess he was doing some sort of accounting.
Yeah,
maybe?
And so for some reason they had an 18-year-old doing their books. But he had, as in most movies, he had found an accounting error. Just like in accounting error, money.
Trading Places?
Yes, queen. So he found that and he was like, hey, there's money's kind of off. And then, you see the owner, he's like, kind of, what's his name? Can't get no respect.
Oh,
not Harvey Danger.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah, kind of like, oh, what do you mean? So, Rodney Dangerfield doing Bart Simpson doing another thing. What do you mean the bank is out of money? So, yeah, he was just like, oh, that's not really an issue. Don't worry about it. But the kid's like, no, it's like $500,000 of like accounting error, and then that's when the problems start.
But that's not what even got him in trouble. It got him in trouble because he wouldn't let it go.
Well, yeah,
and
I know. But
then he like breaks into this building and they catch him.
Yeah, so he definitely.
He starts.
They told him to let it go, but then, and that's the thing. Like, if you have a job, and your job is to do X, Y, Z, only going above and beyond if you think it's like advantageous. Like if your boss tells you, no, I'm just saying, if your boss tells you, hey, don't worry about that, they shred those papers at the site, and then you go, no, I'm going to shred the paper. It's like, dude, don't shred the papers.
He did seem personally offended when the guy was like, don't pay attention to that. You've been doing such a great job. Go home now. Then he seemed like personally offended, like, but I was doing good work. Why do you send me home? And then do you think he wanted to prove himself? Was that the point? Was that why he was going to do? I don't understand.
There's no point in anything he did. Like, I really felt like he got himself killed. Like, in most movies, it's kind of like, man, you know, like if he would have got shot asking the question, I'd have been like, dang, people. But it's like, dude, he told you that's not a problem. You pushed it. He said, go home. And then for some reason you broke into the place. Like, dude, that's not on you, but it's adjacent to you.
He gets found out. He didn't even try to run away.
Yeah.
He was just like, oh, you got me.
Yeah, he was like, he broke into the warehouse. He didn't look around. He tripped a sensor and then was just kind of like, oh, the lights came on. Oh, let me hide. And he just kind of like, okay, so that's a theme in this movie. No one at all held a poker face for more than 3 seconds.
Right.
Every time anybody said, like, hey, did you steal that candy bar? Yes. Like, what? Dude, no sense of trying to, lie or anything. But that's what that kid did. He was like, he was hiding, kind of. And the guy goes, hey, come on out. And he's just kind of like, are you a cop? No. He's like, all right, cool. Sounds good.
Right.
It's like,
hey, come on, man.
I hid from the police for 2.5 hours. One time, sneaking out. Like, that's how dedicated I am to the cause.
Okay.
Don't get caught.
Right. Okay.
Never.
Good to know.
Never get caught, kids.
Can we talk about the opening scene?
No.
So, they're riding their skateboards.
I should know.
At John Wayne Airport. Like, all just on the tarmac and everything.
Isn't that Burbank?
I don't know. Is that John Wayne Airport? I thought it was Orange County.
Oh, yeah, you might be right. Oh, that's the other guy.
Which makes way more sense because they were in Orange County. And I was like, why are they in Burbank Airport? But anyway, and they're riding their skateboards at the airport. All around, whatever. Then they find their buddy. They have a buddy that flies a plane. And then...
Well, they know an older gentleman that flies a plane.
He's not... That makes him sound old.
Well, he was older than them.
He's probably like 30.
He's probably like 35.
25, 28.
If they're 17, 35 is like...
Old.
What? Yeah, okay, like when I was 17, I wasn't thinking about myself at 39.
The point is... Okay, so there's a couple of connections in this movie that I didn't really understand. Mm-hmm. So who is this guy? We never see him again, right? Or did I just forget who he was?
He's literally a vehicle for the vehicle.
Right. Okay. So they find this guy that they know apparently, and they're like, "Hey, take us in the plane." He's like, "No," and he was like, "Yeah, do it." And he was like, "Okay, only one of you." And then we cut to a scene where they're all in the plane. It's like 6 of them.
He got duped.
And what they wanted him to do was fly them around town so they could find empty swimming pools.
It's the laziest kids ever.
Right? But then later in the movie, don't we find out that one of these kids has an empty swimming pool in his own yard that his parents have let him graffiti all up and use as a skate thing?
Look, I had a girlfriend once. And then I met another girl.
Okay.
And so they're bored.
They're bored of their own swimming pool.
So I dated both of them. Sorry, Keisha and Jamie. Oh,
whatever. So, but right. So anyway, so they fly around scouting for empty swimming pools, and then they find a swimming pool without water in it.
Yeah, that's the key to skateboarding.
Right. They go skate around. Somebody falls and busts their head because he wasn't wearing a helmet.
It was like a big blot of blood. I was like, man, that dude.
Okay. So then detectives show up, not just like regular cops.
I didn't even think about that. Why would a detective show up
with their little notepads?
You gotta have the notepad though.
Right. So it's like standard issue, right? You get your detective badge and you get your
first thing you get
your notepad.
Notepad. Second thing, shades.
Shades, yeah. And then sensible shoes.
And then
you get to wear whatever you want, right?
But then you have to say, hey, look, anytime a kid talks to you, say, what are you, a wise guy? Those are the 3 things.
You got to whip off your shades. Yeah. Or you just look over the top.
Or you go, yeah. I still even know. I don't even remember the name of that show. That's what's so funny.
I don't even know what you're
David
talking
Caruso?
about.
You don't know the David Caruso
No.
show where he would put the shades on and he would say like, somebody would be burned and he's like, this guy was extra crispy. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's the bit everybody does.
Oh, okay.
Look it up, David Caruso. Not
right.
Robinson Crusoe, but David Caruso.
David Caruso. I know that name.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, here's the second character that I did not understand quite. I guess I pieced it together. But anyway, so the one of the detectives walks up and is like buddy with I was about to say Kevin Bacon, Christian Slater.
He might be.
Christian Slater, and like flicks him in the ear or whatever. This is like the opening
That's
scene.
harassment, people.
It is harassment. And so I thought, oh, okay, maybe this is like his older brother or cousin or something. Like they know each other.
Uh-huh.
They're never established any sort of relationship
No,
that
he's
makes
just
sense.
a jerk cop.
I think
Don't we
he's
know-
not a
haven't
jerk
we
cop
seen
though,
some of
because
this?
he lets these kids go. I think that he's so
Anybody
used to
flicks
these
people
kids.
in the ear.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
you
he's
think
like
they have a rapport.
Yeah, they have a rapport now. So this is what I'm assuming. He's like, let this kid go, and he's like, oh, it's a good kid. Yeah, I know he gets into trouble sometimes, but he's mostly good. Let's just let him go, because he gives him like life advice here and there throughout the movie.
It's
It
like,
just
look,
I have to build the whole backstory because
buy
there was
stock
nothing.
in Yahoo.
Yeah, because there was nothing that like it didn't put it together in the movie. So I guess either you're just not supposed to pay attention or you just build your own backstory. That's all.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like the detective character.
Yeah, he's I knew somebody that would do stuff like that, and that's the only reason I like the idea of that detective character, but the whole flicking the ear thing is completely annoying to me. Because I had somebody who would do that. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you flicking me in the ear? Like, just leave me alone, let me be. But I think the detective's fine. I think the craziest thing about it is after the brother ends up quote unquote hanging himself.
Oh yeah, so that's how the brother, they find him. He committed suicide.
Yeah,
I'm doing air quotes.
Epstein style.
Right, because when he was discovered at the warehouse thing, and they took him to a motel,
motel, Holiday Inn.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like getting murdered.
When you wetting up a towel, you choke your friend.
Right, there we go. So yeah, so this guy wraps a towel around our buddy's neck, and I guess they're trying to torture him into talking, and like
I don't understand.
He doesn't know
wet
anything.
Towel though.
I don't know. So he's trying to torture him, and then
I want to Google it, but I'm afraid.
two of the guys, don't Google this.
How to strangle someone with a wet towel? Woo!
Yeah. Incognito window.
Under his eye.
So I guess he's just supposed to be torturing him. So we see the guy that Vin, the brother, works for, shows up, and then some white guy. And so we're like, oh, okay, they're in on something together. And so they're kind of torturing him to be like, what do you know? What do you know? And he's like, I don't know anything. So the two main guys leave the room, and he left him in there with the torture guy. And the torture guy, they go back in. He's like, I've done this 1,000 times and never killed anybody. Like, he messed up his
how many
torture.
times have we said that?
Right?
Just like, man, it's like,
how hard is it to wrap something around someone's neck and not kill them?
yeah, it's like, man, I've put skewers in people's eyes so many times. And this time it went too deep and into his brain and he died.
I mean,
my goodness.
Amateur hour here.
I know, these guys, it's like Lucy and the Chocolates. Lucy and the Chocolates.
What? Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty. I thought that was kind of funny because I thought when I was a kid, I thought they were all hardened criminals, but they were all just kind of like first time offenders. Like,
right.
Look, my client has never murdered anybody before, so you should really just let him go. He was just trying to, do a couple of illegal things and whatnot. So yeah, so the as usual, and I want to know the statistics on actual real maids, but the maid walks in and he's hung himself.
But first, she looks out the window and sees Disney.
Oh.
Did Disney pay for this movie?
Dude, there
Disney
were
and
so
Pizza Hut?
many. Pizza Hut's I guess Pizza Hut's towards the end, but they put the word Disneyland
Yeah.
in the
They said Disney.
copy so many times.
Yeah, we saw Disney.
He was like, "Oh, when you took me to Disney when I was a kid, and Disney, and Disneyland, and Disney."
Yeah.
So he was found dead at the Astro Inn or something, and I looked it up on Google. It's not there anymore. It's another hotel, but it's literally like when we go. Oh, you haven't been to
I thought
NAMM
they tore
with
it
me.
down.
But no, it's a different hotel.
Oh.
They tore that down and built a different hotel.
Oh, okay. You made it sound like they just changed the name. Like
Nah.
it's the same building.
But yeah, when I go to NAMM, I drive past wherever that place used to be. And it was literally, you can look out and see the Matterhorn, and that whole thing. So yeah, they talked about Disney so much. I was just kind of like, I feel like Disney could have sued them for how much they talked about Disney under a thing where a dude gets murdered next to Disney. Like, we don't want to be associated
That's
with
true.
a story.
That's why I was wondering if Disney had like stakes in this movie.
Did you find anything?
I did not. I did not.
Adoptive.
I forgot to specifically Google Disney and Gleaming the Cube.
Disney the Cube. That's going to be a Gleaming the Cube. That's what they're going to replace Splash Mountain with. It's going to be him skateboarding down instead of log flume. Yeah, that was pretty weird. But yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, she opened the drapes and was like, oh, Disney World. And then she turns like, oh, kid hanging himself.
She did the classic. Scream.
Talk about highs and lows in one thing.
Right?
It's like sticking your feet in lava and then eating ice cream.
So since they strangled him, they made it look like he killed himself. But then everybody was, of course, like, he wouldn't have killed himself. Well, not everybody, but the brother.
The brother.
So that gave Christian Slater.
It's like he couldn't have killed himself. He just started smoking, which was kind of funny. It was like, You're smoking? And he's like, I just started. And the kid in 1989 said, that'll give you cancer. Right?
I know. I actually thought that was like strange.
Yeah, it was definitely not a thing that kids said. But I thought it was interesting. Like I said, I thought it was just interesting that the good kid started smoking, which showed, I think, kind of the pressure that he might have been under.
Well, yeah, and it showed he was a layered person.
Yes.
He snuck out to see his girlfriend, who was the dad of who was actually involved in his murder.
That's right. It's not good when your girlfriend's dad is the one that got you killed.
Yeah, no good.
Never good.
Mm-mm.
Not unless you did something. Then you deserved it.
I mean, I don't know.
No, you deserved it. So, yeah, so the what's Christian Slater's character? There's Vin, and then Brian.
Vin and Brian, and then all the other skateboarder guys who were skateboarders.
Yeah, Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk was in there.
There's a couple other skateboarders, but Tony Hawk is far and away the most famous skateboarder. So we don't need to know any of those other people ever. Don't mention their names.
Okay. No, we need to talk about at least one of the other guys. Okay.
Which one?
At least one.
You're talking about the guy who wears fedoras all the time?
Christian Jacobs.
Who's that?
Okay. Christian Jacobs was. Okay. No, I'm not saying he's dead. I'm just saying.
It's like those documentaries where you start realizing they've been saying was for an hour and 20 minutes.
Right, exactly. No, I didn't do like my did you know facts about this movie because
you failed us.
I didn't really have that many. But
did you know I don't have too many facts about this movie?
Okay, so Christian Jacobs, he was then at that point, he was the future lead singer of the Aquabats and creator of Yo Gabba Gabba.
Oh, yeah.
So that skateboarder is the creator of Yo Gabba Gabba. But then I looked at his picture now, and I don't know which kid that was. I have no idea. None of them really didn't like. We only really saw like Tony Hawk because he was the Pizza Hut guy, and then
the guy who I said who wears fedoras all the time. He was in it a lot. He's the red.
Yeah. The friend. The friend they went to. But there was like a ton of skateboarders in this, and a ton of stunt skaters.
There's another guy there. He's like a guitar player, and another different guy. I think is it? I don't know if it's the same guy. I didn't look at is it a Latino guy? Or a white guy?
There was,
the Yo Gabba Gab.
No, I think he's a white guy.
Oh, okay. This is a different guy. But yeah, I looked up that guy. Forgot his name already. Yeah, so, what was it? I think the way that Brian went about trying to solve his brother. Like, it's obviously hard for you to have the police not believe you, but when there's no proof, it's kind of hard for the police to do anything about it. Because they have to run under a set of laws unless they're trying to like beat you to death, then they don't have to. But yeah, he just went, and it was kind of Die Hard or any action movie from the 80s. And I think this was kind of like a teen like wannabe or like aimed at cool skateboard kids version of like Die Hard or some sort of movie where it's like, you can't keep doing this. The city's been blah, blah, blah. You need to follow the rules. Or 24. It was just that for kids who liked skateboarding.
Yeah, it's funny because like halfway through the movie, I was like, is this a skateboard movie? Like,
well, they sprinkled in the little tricks.
They sprinkled in the skateboarding, and it was like, it would have been a fine movie without the skateboarding. Like, didn't really need it. But it was in there because they had skateboards.
Right. They knew skateboards was a cool thing.
Right.
And so they said, well, we've got every time that there's an interaction of fighting or not fighting, but whatever, where something big happens, a skateboard has to be involved.
So like when Christian Slater crashes through the window, like the end of the movie, when he's like trying to save the girl.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he causes the dad to get shot and die. But he literally, he crashed that window for nothing.
Yeah, he broke. So
he had this grand entrance, and it did look cool.
Yeah, the widow for sure. You know, she lost her husband and she lost a window, and that's not something you ever want in one day.
Right.
You have to replace.
That's a lot.
You have to replace an 8x10 window,
and I'm sure he scuffed up the railing or whatever he was riding on. You know, there's going to be damage to the garden.
There's glass all through his study, so you have to remember when your next husband has a study, and then you see some glass, and then you start crying. He's like, "What's wrong?" And you say, "Nothing."
There was glass.
Nothing.
Well,
he doesn't even
died.
know. He doesn't know she was married before.
Oh, okay. That's a secret.
Yeah.
Okay. She doesn't share that part of her life.
Nope. She's like, "Oh, this was in vitro."
Okay. Okay. Why don't you let your daughter speak? She doesn't.
But yeah, I was just kind of like, oh, this was the whole marketing plan. Was, you know, some guys
Disney,
like skateboards are
Pizza Hut skateboards.
Disney, Pizza Hut skateboard, a loose love interest, and a vendetta.
Yeah.
The coolest thing that he did, which was actually not cool at all, it was very dangerous, was he then sneaks in to get more information. So the kid who made the sponge noose, that's what we'll call it, who ended up accidentally choking them, he ends up being killed because why did they kill him? Oh, the guy he had killed the kid, so he wanted a ticket to Bangkok, right? He was like, I want money and a ticket to Bangkok.
Yeah, he wanted to escape.
The white dude was like, nah, we're not doing that. So he shot him.
I guess there was a scuffle, and then he gets shot.
Scuffle.
Yeah.
Hey.
I mean, there's a lot of inexplicable things that happened in this movie.
Yeah.
So this was just one of them. Like, why did Christian Slater get into that car? So he sees this guy following him around in this car, and so he skateboards off and then hides in a bush, and then the guy stops to make a phone call, and then he jumps in the back of the car
because he's trying to find out about his brother.
Well, yeah, I guess so, but it's
reverse following.
Come on, it is reverse following.
That's right.
So then they're out. I have no idea where, in a cornfield, and
not a cornfield.
Those were because he was running through the cornfield. I mean, he drove around. Wasn't it a cornfield?
No.
Maybe I'm putting that together with Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, I was supposed to say. That's what I was thinking. It was more like, I don't know, like pecans or something. There were tall trees.
Okay. It was tall trees.
California, so, you know.
Yeah, I guess it was in a cornfield.
It's, there's not too much corn being made out here. But yeah, so they went in that area, and then, you know, obviously nobody's leaving the U.S., nobody's getting money, nobody's going to Bangkok, so they shot him. But when I saw that when I was a kid, I thought, oh man, the last thing that guy saw as he was streaming down the car window with blood everywhere because he got shot in the head was Christian Slater's face.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, what if he lives? And it's like, that kid was in the car.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
could have told.
He wasn't He wasn't alive.
Dead.
So yeah, the whole time Christian Slater's just trying to convince the guy from Scarface that which my brother worked with him on something. I don't remember. I think it was Los New Orleans, NCIS or New
Queen
Orleans.
of the South.
Was it Queen of the South?
I'm guessing because that guy was on Queen of the South.
All right, well, it was that then. So, and he didn't remember who he was. The guy was talking to him. They go, hey.
Oh, man.
He goes, how was it talking to, I don't remember the actor's name. How was it talking to him? And he goes, what do you mean? He's like, what's his name? The guy from Starface.
Stephen
and he was
Bauer.
like, what? Oh, man. So, yeah, he's spending the whole time trying to get Stephen Bauer's character to pay attention to what's really going on, man. Expand your mind.
You gotta believe me.
Yeah. And it wasn't till the end after he did essentially one crazy thing, which was, I thought, the most dangerous thing he did. He snuck back in. He snuck back into the warehouse just like his brother, being nosy, and saw that there were Uzis in a crate. So what they were doing was sending guns to the Liberation Army or the anti-communist army. So it was technically a government operation. It was an anti-communist government operation. In Vietnam. So, and that guy had been, I guess he had been with the South. I don't think too many people from northern Vietnam were coming over here in the 70s. So yeah, they were sending guns back. Christian Slater broke it up with the board to see it. And then the white dude was like, somebody broke into the place and opened up and saw one of the guns. He's like, I don't know if it was just a vandal or I don't remember what he said. I'm like, how many vandals crack open a specific...
Don't take anything.
Yeah, a specific thing. Find an Uzi and then don't take the Uzi or report it or whatever. And so then the next day they have security guards, which are actually working. Because in the 80s, kids, people didn't have cell phones. Also, they were somewhat thin guys. So they were able to patrol and they weren't like just chilling on their phones. And don't get me wrong, I'll put the thin and non-thin in the same category. Every person I see that works security is on their phone. Except for the dude at Gelson's. That dude is not on his phone. None of the dudes at Gelson's over here are on their phones. Very good security people. Everybody else, on their phones. So these guys, that's my security guard rant. If I ever open a security company, your phone goes in that velvet pouch. And you put I'm like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
You just put,
They'll smuggle in another phone.
No burners. I'll find out. So yeah, so what does he do? He throws firecrackers
into the security hut.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And then the guys are like, hey, what is this? What's the big idea? And they both go in there. And then Christian Slater locks the door on him, takes the wheel blocks off, and then lets it roll down the lot. And then he takes gasoline, he Molotov cocktails a big old thing of gasoline, destroys his board by rolling it into a propane tank, like the ones that are for the whole building, which would not blow up, as I think Mythbusters and other people have said. But it's a movie, so he blows the thing up, and then also puts the girl's dad's hat, the Vietnamese dude's hat, on site. So then when the white dude shows up, he's like, this guy's trying to double cross me.
But you forgot the best thing about this whole scene.
He almost got people killed?
No, he hides. Okay, the propane tank he's exploding is what, 30 feet away from him?
Oh, yeah.
And he pulls a pallet, like those little wooden pallet things.
The pallets that have slats, that any type of material
this is not a solid barrier. Puts it in front of him to shield himself from...
That's totally a teenage thing to do.
Yeah.
I'll take this really thin pieces of wood that aren't lined up.
I do agree. This was my favorite nonsense thing from this movie. And then I thought it was very smart of him to toss the hat so that he shifted blame.
He did some smart things, like trying to solve this crime.
Yeah. So, but then also... I don't know where he was watching. He was climbed up on top of a building somewhere, but there weren't like another building around for him to be on top of. So I don't know where he was, but he was watching and it looked like he had like military grade binoculars. Yeah, like where did those come from?
He probably went to the army surplus store on Vine and got some nice binoculars. But yeah, he did look like he was like, all right, they're, They're right there off the South
Right.
Pacific. Like,
It was
what,
just
is
really
this
funny.
World War
Like
II?
random. I don't even remember him having a backpack now that I think of it. He must have, but because where did the gasoline canister come from?
It's like when you play Breath of the Wild, you're like, how do I have 45 macablin?
Oh, right.
things?
Link carries way too much stuff.
Yeah.
He's got like 9 fish, and they're all fine.
I think I had like 75 of one type of fish.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of stuff on me. But when you see me, I just look the same.
Yeah, he doesn't make any sound.
He doesn't, no bag, no nothing.
Anyway, play video game.
But yeah, so I thought that was really funny. And then that's where it comes to a head. So, and then what was it? So he starts faking like he likes the girl, his brother's ex,
His
not
brother's
ex-girlfriend.
girlfriend.
Whatever it's called. When
He's making moves on her.
yeah, only to get to the dad.
But sort of. I couldn't figure that out because
That's what
he
I'm saying.
was
It was
like,
quasi,
we can be
but-
friends.
Yeah.
But then also they went on a date. It
Yeah.
seemed like. So I was confused, and then she called him her friend.
And then he unskated himself. He turned into
Oh,
Tad.
oh my gosh. He turned so into Tad. That's immediately what I thought. Was
Yeah.
like, he just tatted himself.
He tatted. He got
This is
tatted.
big dramatic. Took the earring out. Took off the skate gloves. Gave himself a sort of kind of haircut.
Yeah.
Like he didn't cut off that much. He just combed it a different way.
Right.
His blonde highlights. He turned a little more Zach Morris.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was very Zacky and
Yeah.
yeah, but he
And put on khakis.
so we went over the house and he got familiar with the family and then he stole a lighter. Why did he steal that lighter?
Why do people in the 80s, why did teenagers in the 80s dress like grown people? Like boring grown people?
Because they want to be
If they
cool
thought they
and
were being
grown
like
up.
Like posh.
He had an attaché case.
Yeah. He just immediately turned into like a 45-year-old man. He even had pockets. Did you notice he had like patches on his
Oh, he's
elbows?
an adjunct professor.
Yeah. And then
Interesting.
she looked like she was like designing women.
Well, I think that was the 80s for some reason. You
I
just
guess
wore
so.
like these weird puffy. Everybody for some reason was wearing like suits, even if you weren't like trying to
Right.
wear a suit.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey, I'm going to wear this blazer. It's like, why are you wearing a blazer? You're 9.
Right.
A blazer with like sweatpants and Reeboks. It's like, I don't, the 80s
So
was
anyway,
crazy.
sorry. What were we?
No, I was saying like when I don't know why he stole the lighter.
I don't think he meant to steal it. I think that she caught him and he had pulled that out of the drawer and he didn't have like a sly way he just kind of had to pocket it because he couldn't come up with an excuse for why he's rooting around in the drawers, but he
Right.
could be
What
like,
was his reason for being in there? I can't remember what he said.
said I was looking at this map. Trying to,
That's
because the
the
dad had a
worst-
map out, and so he was. Remember, because he asked the dad
Yeah.
to tell him about history and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So he
I was
was
just
like-
kind of thinking, like, how did you know there were? But how would you even know there was a map in there? That's like if someone came to my house and then showed up in my bedroom, I'm like, what are you doing here? It's like, oh, I was trying to see what
Well,
Sealy
maybe
Posturepedic you had. I'm like, how do you even know I have a Sealy Posturepedic in here?
Maybe she thought the door had been left open, and he like
And
walked by
he's Spider-Man or whatever.
because it's right across from the bathroom.
You can see
and-
laser.
But luckily, he didn't have to explain himself because her parents came home. She had to shoo him out the door.
Yeah, and she was like not even thinking at all. If someone was in my dad's study, I would for sure be like, dude, what are you doing in here?
Right.
I'm gonna get like yelled at.
And then when later she catches him with the lighter, and she's like, "Why do you have this?" And he's like, "No matter how I say this, it's gonna sound crazy." And then the next thing we see, the daughter is straight up accusing her dad of everything this kid thinks is going on.
He just spilled the beans.
He just
to the
told
girl.
her everything.
And she believed him, which was very interesting.
This is not how these movies go. This is not usually how this works.
Well, this movie did cover a lot of ground, so it had to. It's kind
Yeah,
of
it
like in
did.
some ways be like
An
and
hour
then-
and 47 minutes.
Remember what I said? I think when people confessed very quickly, and I think people
Yeah.
believed also very quickly.
Yeah, they
They're just
did.
like, look, we got to get through this movie,
Right.
so
We don't have
people
time
can't
for the
be
back and
going
forth.
back and forth and like you lied to me, and it's like oh, and he comes back and apologizes.
It was
just-
a pretty slow movie, so they could have cut out some other things and given some
Oh, yeah,
time
yeah.
for a little bit
Yeah,
of that. But I just thought that was funny. She's immediately like, "Dad, did you kill Vin?"
yeah. And that's when the whole thing, and then that's when it just like takes off because he's like, "Hey, bros, I've got this idea, and we don't know." And the cop is not really involved. But then I forgot how.
But then the cop even believes him.
Yeah, then the cop somehow starts to believe him. So the cop shows up at the girl's house, and what was it? The white guy's there. No, him and her dad and the white guy are there talking, and then the girl comes in, stupid like, like if your dad is having an affair with some woman on your mom, you don't walk into your dad's study where your dad and the friend are hanging out and be like, hey, I just heard that you were cheating on mom. Like, you pull your dad aside. You don't just like say that in front of other people.
She also just accepted the fact that her dad was involved in all this, like, very easily.
Yeah.
She was just like, okay. And then did she storm off or something, like teenage style, or like?
No. She literally confronted him, and then there was the knock on the door. It said the police, and then he grabbed the girl.
Oh, okay.
So it was literally, if she wouldn't have said anything, or she would have pulled her dad aside, this would have gone totally differently. But she just kind of like blabbed. And if she knew the whole story, she knew that guy was involved in the murder too. It's like, what are you doing now?
Yeah. So she also didn't cry when she talked about her dad being dead. When he was like, "What happened to your dad?"
Only the mom cared.
Yeah,
no one else did.
Nobody
the
else
cop
cared.
didn't care.
No. The cop was like,
didn't care?
Christian Slater, are you okay? I gotta go catch this guy.
Yeah. He watched the dude. He saw the guy getting shot and screaming. He walks past him and goes, hey man, are you okay? The kid just fell through glass. The other guy got shot in the heart.
He's got elbow pads. He's fine.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my goodness.
He's like, I'm gonna go. He actually said, stay here, call the ambulance.
Right.
I'm going to go chase them. So he goes out, has to hotwire a car. Then Christian Slater's
because?
Oh, because he's an idiot and cops leave their keys in their car, apparently, in the movies. And so
the guy stole the cop car.
Who was the guy he had driving? I feel like that's
just
a random
kid that was
dude.
Just walking up. Yeah,
okay.
I guess maybe he worked at the store or something.
Maybe. Just a rando
like, hey,
gets roped into this.
Mr. So-and-so, I want to let you know. And he's like, oh, why?
That poor kid.
That poor kid was an amazing driver, though.
He really was.
He was like, it was like he was a stunt man or something, or a stunt driver.
So then Christian Slater's like, wait for me, I'm coming too, and hops in the car.
And then all of his bros come together and they do some bro action to chase this person.
Okay, that's the iconic scene. Like, they're doing all this nonsense, chasing around, whatever, and then he sends up the bat signal, and he's like,
they get in the Pizza Hut van.
Yeah, you got to get in the Pizza Hut truck. And then we're chasing a stolen cop car on whatever street. And they're like, got it. We'll be there soon or whatever. But then they all roll up at the top of that hill of the, that's like got to be the most iconic part, right? And like the Pizza Hut truck is there. And then like 9 skateboarders cresting over this hill. And the guy's like, I can't. The one guy's like screaming, run him over. And he's like, I can't. And so then they all start to descend the hill doing their tricks and like all this stuff. I'm like, nobody was focused. Like, everybody was doing tricks. Like, Christian Slater was doing random tricks. All these kids were sliding around for no reason. But it looked cool.
Yeah, it was definitely
that's like
all
the
those
iconic
little montages were just like to be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they chase, and then Christian Slater, the guy hits the guy being chased, or I guess the kid is driving, but actually the white guy is the one that's being chased. It's just, he kidnapped that kid and the girl, and the kid's driving. They run into a Corvette, which I'm guessing is like a Formula One racer from the 80s. I don't know. They like showed his face.
The driver like, are you gonna get him? Was a stuntman. He was like a classic stuntman.
Oh, okay, like a really famous stuntman. Yeah. I knew it was something because they was like, are you going to let him do that? And he's like, no. Blah,
right.
Blah, blah. So Christian Slater is skitching on the back of the car, holding on. Like, guys going 40 and 50, and they're going down, I think, like the 405 or something like that. Then Christian goes. His buddies catch up to him in the Pizza Hut van. They're like, cross over under the truck, bro. Yeah. And then he skates under a truck at like 60 miles per hour. And he lives. Actually, it's funny. He comes up on the other side and then he puts his hands up in like celebration, like, I did it. When he should be trying to make sure he gets on the truck, also, on the Pizza Hut truck.
Yeah. And then they show the truck driver like, whoa. And then like toot his horn out of like, you did it, man.
He's like, hey, man, I almost had to deal with years and years of trauma of running over your skull.
And
that
all
was
the
really
forms,
cool.
All the forms to fill out.
Yeah, all the forms to fill out. Like end up in a Tracy Morgan situation. So then they launch. He launches himself at some point off of this ramp because the guy got out of the car and is trying to shoot at everybody. And then he comes with the really hard board that his friend made.
Geared up
like
for him.
wooden, not wooden. It's like metal
Yeah.
all around it. And then he, bashes the dude and then lands and he tussles all over the highway. And then the guy's passed out, I guess. It's kind of weird because he pointed his gun at the kid. So he could have shot the kid. I don't know why he didn't shoot him. I don't know in real time how fast they were going.
It was too fast, man. It was too fast. Pew!
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Well, he got knocked out because he got skateboarded to the face.
Yeah. It's never good to get skateboarded to the face.
And then Christian Slater gets launched into the street.
Yeah.
Didn't get run over somehow.
No, they all stopped and they were like, whoa, are you okay?
Are you okay, kid? So he saved the day.
He was a savior. He had the same burn marks I have on my ankle from the Onewheel on his face. He had that. And he was fine. The girl said they were going to stay in the U.S., her and her mom. And, I guess
be
she
fine
was
without
totally
her dad.
cool. Oh, yeah. She said, I don't know how to go back to school. It's going to be weird.
Yeah, she's very worried about
not about that she
school.
lost her dad, but school. She's like,
her friends were going to judge her.
Yeah, it's like judge her because I guess
her dad killed her boyfriend.
Her dad killed her boyfriend and was running Uzis.
Right.
I'd be like, whoa, your dad's a boss, dog. He's a straight up G. But yeah, so he said, we'll go back to school together. So that was the end. They were going to go back to school together.
Okay, so 8-year-old Josh.
Uh-huh.
What if he were to do a tomato
if we would do a
meter rating or whatever the popcorn is? What would 8-year-old Josh?
8-year-old Josh would give this like 90.
Okay.
Because it had skateboards in it.
Right.
That's like these 50-year-old dudes that came up with this knew what they were doing.
Right.
It has skateboards in it. That's all. It has mystery. It has what seemed like some sort of like romance and skateboards.
Okay. So,
and empty pools.
Okay, so 30 years later.
50, 60%.
Oh, that high.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you still like this movie. You're still Gleaming the Cube, huh?
Yeah.
No, it's fine. Like I said, they like the way he went about certain things, like he was pretty sneaky and he figured out some stuff. Like, the way he went about some things were dumb, but I've seen way dumber movies that had way higher stakes.
We have seen way dumber
movies. There was like 15 people trying to kill you and you're acting like that you're, just playing around. So he was a pretty smart kid.
All right. Well, you're pretty spot on-ish with
Spottish?
With the okay, so on Rotten Tomatoes on the website, I just noticed. So it's 29% tomato meter, right? Mm-hmm. But that is from 7 reviews from
I don't
critics.
think too many people know about this movie. So it'll be interesting when someone listens to this if they'll be like, I remember that movie.
Right. So, but the audience score, user ratings, there are 8,832 of them. And they give it a 69%.
69, dudes.
So, people clearly enjoy this movie.
Yeah,
I guess 45%, 50%. I could see that.
The plot and the actual like layout of it makes sense. The executions maybe you could argue with, but it's like, look, the kid hung himself. What are we gonna do? And it's like, all right, well, let's move on. And the kid's like, no, I'm gonna keep looking around. And sure, a kid could break into a thing. I don't think 80s security was that great. So they find something out. He does, blah, blah, blah.
For all its nonsense, it was still pretty straightforward, and it was
more rooted in reality than a lot of other movies.
That's true.
Like it seems like that was possible for humans to do. It, obviously the going under the 18-wheeler.
I mean, maybe and maybe not all that skateboarding stuff, but but yeah.
That's kind of like if you were doing an adult version of that, and the guy just starts dancing on his way to like stop a crime or something,
right?
And you're like, why are you dancing?
That's what I kept saying during the movie. I was like, they need to focus. Like, you need to get where you're going.
360 McTwist.
Why is he doing these, whatever they were called?
The funny thing is the montages were very 80s, but very Flashdance.
Yes.
Whenever he felt pain,
Yes.
that his brother died or something, and then something else happened.
Yeah.
He skated.
That's
and
why
he skated in a warehouse.
I said, is that his angry skate? Like, as soon as he found his brother was dead, it goes immediately to a scene of him skating on a really tall half pipe thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you emote like angry skate. Like, you can dance and show like that kind of emotion. But with the skating, I'm not sure. I was like, oh, this is his emotional angry skate. Like,
and he even said that. He says,
Yeah.
it helps me express myself.
yeah, that's how I express myself. So that was his thing. But also, he did do the skating through the warehouse.
Yeah.
Which was the Footloose. Dance through the warehouse.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely Flashdance, Footloose, all those 80s movies.
You gotta skate it out.
Skate out your feelings.
Right.
But yeah,
So,
that's funny.
So Josh.
So Michelle.
What does Gleaming the Cube mean?
Cube?
Cube.
Doesn't it's like that kid said it's the moment when you like reach nirvana and skating or something like that.
Yeah, he said it's the place where you skate when you let go. And it's the other thing I read said it means
when you fart.
When you push yourself to the edge, man.
Push it to the limit.
Push it to the edge.
I feel that way. Like, remember I went the other day to hop on the Onewheel, and I just kind of was like,
Were you gleaming the cube?
I think was it Monday or Tuesday? I had a bunch of meetings, and I was just like, man, I'm tired, but I need to do some other things. So I went and I went in one wheel for about 30 minutes or something, just kind of like riding around. And then I came back and I've had energy.
There you go.
There you go. Buy a one wheel. You'll have energy.
It came from, according to Gleaming the Cube's Wikipedia page.
Ooh.
The title of the film.
Wikiing the Cube.
I'm going to Wiki the Cube. No.
That sounds, I don't know what that sounds.
Okay.
It sounds a lot of things.
Well, whatever. Let me just read this thing. It says, the title of the film refers to the cryptic question, have you ever gleamed inside a cube, that Gary Scott Davis asked Neil Blender in an interview in the December 1983 issue of Thrasher magazine. Does any of that mean anything to you? Do you know any of these people or what Thrasher magazine is?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I know Thrasher magazine.
Is it a skateboard magazine?
That and Transworld skateboarding, whatever. I don't remember.
Okay, so
those were like, I would get those and be like, I wish I could do this stuff, but I'm too scared.
Well, who the heck is Gary Scott Davis
I don't know
and Neil
names,
Blender?
Michelle, I was like 7, 8, 9. I don't know the people. I just saw them and knew they were awesome.
Did you read Thrasher magazine or you just saw it at the store?
No, I got Thrasher. I don't know how many times I got it, but I would buy Thrasher and like
okay.
do the things that they did in the movies. You put up the poster of the dude like jumping off some 13-foot thing that you would never do because you're a giant baby. Like I'm telling you, like, I've been working really well on the one wheel. Michelle's been getting up there. And she's like, well, you're just blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, I'm the most scared baby, fraidy cat of falling. And like, I was afraid to have surgery because they were going to put 4 tiny holes in my stomach. I don't want any of my skin like manipulated at all. So I'm always scared of falling. So that's why I never skated when I was a kid. I was just like, I'm going to fall. I'm going to skin my face off. Okay,
I guess he's a fairly, famous skateboarder, I guess. He goes by GSD, or that's what people call him.
Is that the people who make the
kombucha? The first pro skater to be sponsored primarily for skating street.
Yeah. Pioneer.
Okay. So anyway, he's a skate guy. And he created this phrase, I guess.
I've looked inside of a cube and it's just like reflections. I don't know. It's not that deep to me. I don't know.
Okay.
It's just reflections.
Okay. Well, also, did you know that I said I didn't have very many, but I do have a couple of.
All right. Shoot.
But I just lost the page.
Oh no.
Oh, I clicked
Hurry
away.
Hurry up.
Okay. Did you know about this movie?
Uh-huh.
It's also known as A Brother's Justice. And also,
did they call it that in another country or something?
I don't know, because when I looked it up like on IMDb, it says Gleaming the Cube in parentheses, a brother's justice. So, but yeah. And then also it's known as skate or die.
Ooh, I love that game.
But I think a brother's
or
justice.
Die.
That works.
Skate or die. Die, 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 die. That game was hard.
There's a game called Skate or Die?
Skate or Die, bro.
Okay.
Yep. And TNC Surf Design. I almost said THC Surf Design, which might go well with it too. Yeah. Okay. We gleamed the cube, bro. Like, it was sick. It was gnarly.
We pushed this to the edge.
We pushed it to the edge.
Hey, can I also ask you about what was up with Vince's computer? Was that like a laptop?
Yeah. Well, it was a heavy. Yeah, it was a laptop. I think I forgot which one that was. Where the head,
because he had it in the kitchen at one point, and then he brought it to his room and folded up like where you would put the Nintendo game. Yeah, is what it looked like, and that was the screen.
Yeah, I forgot which computer. I think it's probably an IBM, but yeah, just kind of like it was on halt and catch fire. I'm sure.
Oh, they did live in the OC. These were rich kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all rich kids.
Dad did insurance, and the mom mommed.
Dad is always like he's that actor because he's the dad in Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and it's probably the same.
He's the no nonsense dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I remember when we moved to Texas, a friend of ours, dad, he had a really thick Lenovo with the trackball in the thing. I played Duke Nukem on there. And it was all grayscale, and I think it was literally like an LCD, like the crystal in C was literally like, you could visually see the crystals. Like it was like jagged, the screen. And if you touched it, it was like the whole screen kind of melted for a second. And then it finally like reformed in the image. It was like, don't ever touch the screen, because it'll just, if you press it too hard, it'll just never go back. Those were the days. Those were the days.
Well,
on that note,
I think that's it.
Whatever note I was just singing.
Gleaming
Remember,
the cube.
If you gleam anything, make sure it's the cube.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh, is it? That's how we're going to end it?
That's how I was going to end it.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
We didn't plug or nothing.
Oh, yeah. By the way, heywejustsawamovie.com. Sponsor us on Patreon. Subscribe. Love your neighbor.
Leave us a review.
Bye.
Bye.